discussion on religion. And I'm only having a discussion now because it's that time. Everybody's feeling some kind of way about many different things, and nobody really has a true aim, a true goal that actually adheres to what needs to be done. So what I want to do from this point on is teach a different view, a different perspective. I want to pin together many different religions and show where they connect, they have common ground, and they most likely are linked or even came from the same lineage. And only what I believe, a fool would say one book is better than another unless the book is truly meant for destruction. And that's only talking in religion and not about spirituality, because spirituality is something different for everybody, but in a sense dealing with the spiritual, and your religion is your moral law. So get that correct. Matter of fact, we're going even
the belief in and worship of a superhuman controlling power, especially a personal god or gods.
1. Control of power. That means anybody can make anything their god or gods. The thought, my god's better than your god, is ignorance. Somebody trying to teach somebody about their god as if the next person don't know better or is ignorant or is stupid or less than you is ignorance within itself, because you don't understand. What somebody believes is equivalent to what to how a person lives. We live different over here in America than they do over in the Mideast, the Middle Eastern part of the world. What we should have an understanding is, like, just like going from one place to another, languages change, so religions change and ways of worship change. So I remember the saying, it's not where you're from, it's where you at. When you're in a place where people do things differently, they do what they say, quote unquote, do what the Romans do. Meaning, go with the flow of what everybody else is doing, and or when in Rome, do as the Romans do. When you're in a specific place in respects to those people, in respects to how they live, you abide by their ways, or you're breaking their laws. Otherwise, you need to be in your perspective space. But the thing is, our ignorance say they got a different God. Even if they did have a different God, all gods were created by or together make one God. So it really doesn't matter. There's no you're wrong and I'm right. It's just the way that they choose to worship God over how you choose to worship God. Now, in perspective, if there is going to be judgment, it's maybe how much you put towards the worship, how much hypocrisy is taken out of your worship and your daily moral connection to your religion. Because if you don't live what you say you're going to live according to the God that you worship, then, or you're just hypocritical. But once again, my point, we need to understand all over again what religion is, because nobody is balancing this out properly. Nobody is thinking about the things that are being said versus the things that are being done, because people are first with Christianity, because it's the largest group in the game. Between that and Catholicism, I'm going to say majority of Christians that I met, I mean literally 90%, and I've met a lot of Christians that are in the church, are hypocritical. Because most people in the church being so hypocritical, it makes the religion hard for people to, I guess, want to research or dig deeper into. That's why everybody's okay with the surface of disbelief. That's why everybody's okay with just hooting and hollering and going along with their day. Instead of every day. You ain't supposed to hoot and holler every day. There's supposed to be actions that are supposed to be taken. There's supposed to be things that you're supposed to be doing on a regular basis. When you wake, you're supposed to wake with God. When you're supposed to rest with God. You're supposed to be in your God self. Excuse me, because that's probably too far ahead of your understanding right now. And if you don't understand where I'm going with it, and for those that do understand, the way I believe is how you get in touch with God. You find the God within yourself and connected to the God outside of yourself. You balance your selfish with your unselfish. You balance your good and your evils. You mind yourself as you mind the earth. Look around the room, and that describes how your mind processes. You got those that are very organized. Sometimes I'm organized, sometimes I'm a little messy. But when I'm organized, I can think clearly, I can move, I can feel like I can breathe easier, and I can relax. When I'm messy, I'm cluttered, I'm unorganized, I'm in a rush, I'm moving stuff out the way, trying to get to other things. And then that's how it is in life and or throughout the day. It's trying to figure out what is what. Now, when I'm neat, clean, and organized, oh yeah, my day goes nice and smooth. Right on point with everything. Bop, bop, bop. And that's when you're in the balance, when you're in the understanding, when you're in the focus zone, shall I say, God zone. We believe because we were taught to believe what we believe. So the object is to re-educate, because what we believe came from uneducated people. And I'm not throwing anybody's family on the bus. What I'm saying is our uneducated ancestors during slavery were programmed with a way of worship towards a certain religion for a certain reason, even if they don't understand why. There was a religion that was pushed on most Black Americans because it was this religion specifically was given to the so-called Black people of America, so they will enslave themselves. They will imprison themselves in their minds and then not feel worthy of God's glory and do nothing but work harder towards looking like the image of what they think is God's glory. And that image, which is projected by the people who run shit, was given to us. Just, let's just say the exact opposite. So then we start to hate ourselves, how we look and who we are, because we get the shit into the stick all the time. And then we see people like us getting the shit into the stick even if it doesn't happen to us. So it still messes with our ego, or it still messes with our environment and our train of thought, whether we know it or not. And then all this stuff that we're dealing with is passed down in our children, through our children. So what I'm talking about is the future. We have to reiterate what's going on as far as religion. We have to make sure we have a better understanding of religion. And it's 2023. We should have had this down packed already. How are we still thinking like our slave ancestors? Why are we still doing the same thing in the church? Why are we still going about this the exact same way they were, knowing things should have changed by now? Nobody's seen anything spiritual, done anything spiritual. So I feel by now you should have figured it out. And if not, I can quote philosophers and I can quote experienced educators or people who seen it, or people who was there, or people who experienced something else on a whole nother level. What did they say about the fish? If I bring you a fish, you eat once. But if I teach you to fish, you can eat for the rest of your life. So what I'm saying is challenge everything I say, because I'm gonna play with this all day. And remember, information changes all the time, so nothing's absolute. Point being, like I said, we gotta self-check. And that's why I just self-check, because it's in me to check myself. We can't be closed-minded in any form, because we don't know no better. And what we think we know can be wrong tomorrow, according to the world. Now, according to your soul, that's where your religion and your spirituality kicks in. And then that's a whole nother moral battle that we can talk about later on in the game. But my point, let's narrow this down together. Haters are welcome. I already know there's going to be haters, especially when you talk about people's religion, because people get sensitive and emotional when it comes down to talking to this subject. So I'm okay with it. Before I wasn't ready for it, now I'm ready for it. And what I see is it's time for the truth to come out. Everybody needs to know the truth. And number one truth that everybody needs to know is Jesus is not who or what you think he is. The book was written by secret society, which really ain't secret back then in Greece, but if you do a little research, the Council of Nicaea put these books together. Now, the only reason why they put the books together is to have power over the people who believe it. That's why Rome took it. That's why Rome took it and took over. And then it became Catholicism. Out of Catholicism came Christianity. Here we are today. And that's just squeezing everything in a short period of time. So coming into this conversation, if you don't know anything about Alexander the Great or before Alexander the Great, you already lost this battle, so please don't even bother. But there's a great significance to it, and I'm gonna give you a short, brief, major key actually. But the reason why Alexander the Great is important to this subject is because Alexander the Great is the reason why a lot of religion was spread and why a lot of cultures had mixed. Hellenization, that's the word. So somewhere in them grounds is where people had 2 and 3 languages all over the place. So this is why you would believe that the man that they called Jesus would speak Greek. But to my understanding, the Hebrews were word of mouth tribe, so they didn't write. And the reason why you don't find a Hebrew Bible is because it was word of mouth. But the Bible that the Hebrews spoke of at that time was information that came from Samaria. Same information that was in Samaria was in Kemet, what we call Egypt today. The reason why I'm bringing this stuff up is because all of this stuff is connected. Now, the man that you would call Jesus would actually know this stuff then. And you should know this stuff now. And if you don't know this stuff now, then we'll continue.